Welcome back to RGR, folks. It is your pregame video. We have a lot going, and this is, clearly it's not just the game of the week. It's the game of the first half of the NFL season, in my mind. I've been doing a lot of appearances around the nation about this, both coasts, back and forth. Nobody wants to talk to me in Baltimore anymore, but Dan will talk to me. Dan Harms, our contributor, is back. How are you, bud?
I'm doing good, and it's been this week is, since it's Monday night, you get a little bit more anticipation than normal, even for a Sunday night game, and the stakes for this game really it couldn't be higher. These are the two teams we all expect to be in the race for the number one seed. So I'm very it's kind of disappointing it's so early in the season, because this is not what each team's going to look like in week 15, 16, but sure, it's still going to be fun.
Yeah, it's going to lead to all those, but you didn't beat us at our best, just like last season. Okay, well, deal with it. There's only one schedule.
You saw the Ravens best in the playoffs against the Titans, so
that says a lot, right? So those of you from the flock, welcome. We're not pulling punches tonight. So cheers. This is a special edition, not our normal. So nice to see you guys. Before we get started, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit the like and the sub and the bell notification. You should be seeing that across your thing now. It really helps us. We are continuing to grow. As we get bigger, we're bringing more things in. Dan's doing film all the time. I'm doing film. I'm doing stats. Danilo's doing your pregame, so you'll have that tomorrow. And that's more of a tailgate kind of get up and get ready for the game itself. This is X's and O's. So that's what we're going to do next. And I want to actually flip this real quick and get a better view. And I want you to start. What's your top priority in terms of a matchup they have to get on top of?
So it's going to start with the slot. It's going to be starting the slot. I think that the Chiefs are going to come out with 3 wide receivers. In the last year, they played almost 50% of the snaps of 12 personnel with Blake Bell and Travis Kelce out there. So I think that they're going to come out, especially without the Ravens in their starting slot corner is out for this game, and they're going to attack the slot. We've seen, at least in the past, the ability to maneuver some of these linebackers with play this aggressive style of defense with RPOs and play action passes. That opens up the middle of the field for slants from Sammy Watkins, Tyreek Hill, whoever they want to put in the slot. It doesn't matter. They're going to shift probably Hardman, Watkins, Hill, even in Kelce at times in the slot, and just find the best matchups that they have. And they're going to exploit it because they have the ability to do that. So that's what I'm really looking forward to in this game on offense, at least for right now.
And it makes perfect sense to me because you hit it on the head. They're replacing. And I know you can say all you want to say about Jimmy Smith is Jimmy Smith. Jimmy's not what Jimmy was 3 years ago. And with Young going out, that's a significant blow to the way that they played, not just how productive they are. And I like Marlon Humphrey. I think he plays a solid game, and I think he can probably – I'll be interested to see how they deploy them, to tell you the truth, because I would think that Jimmy needs to be on the outside with the sideline to help him. But I'm hearing bits and pieces that they might move the two of those guys around in particular.
Yeah, that's what I'm expecting. I expect to see both of them in the slot at times just to kind of give different looks, and that'll definitely allow them, the Chiefs at least, to put different guys in the slot and kind of match up how they want to. That's the beauty of having a Travis Kelce. They can play in 11 personnel and move these guys all over the place. It doesn't have to be a set. He's the tight end. He can spread out wide. He can go in the slot. They can do anything they want to with that formation. So it'll be really Andy Reid's whatever he wants to do.
Right. And as we record this, we've heard a little bit about Sammy Watkins getting back out there. Not cleared yet. Let's be careful about that, because I haven't seen anything that says he has the ability to go yet. But the uptick in activity is part of the protocol, and that actually bodes well for him being able to go. I obviously you want to have Sammy, but I don't think it is a necessity. I think there is enough ammunition with the Chiefs offense and the pass catchers in particular against the defensive backfield for Baltimore, that if you're not doing the one thing that you have to be careful about, I think there's still enough firepower in the passing game for the Chiefs to make the yardage they need and actually put up points.
There definitely is. I would just prefer to have him in terms of guys who have been in the room, know the playbook a little bit more. You're relying on guys like Mecole Hardman and guys like Demarcus Robinson, who, let's just face it, doesn't get open very much and drops the ball when he does. He did have a very clutch catch last week. Let's not take away from that. But most of the time he's dropping the ball. He's not getting open. So Sammy Watkins, regardless of the way that he plays the game, I think that he's played a little bit more physical and fast to start this year, which bodes well for him going forward. But he did get that full practice in on Saturday, which leads me to believe, at least right now, that he will at least try to play this game. I think that the way that they spoke about him in the meetings or the interviews with Andy Reid suggests that they also believe that he's going to play. So that's what I'm leaning towards, and I'm assuming that's what we're going to see on Monday night.
Yeah, that's my hope as well. And I think we should get confirmation about that sometime late on Sunday is my guess. They haven't said game time decision, so I think we're going to know. That will actually help, because I think the one thing that you do have to do is you have to pay the respect that is due to him to Marcus Peters. You saw him do a Marcus Peters thing last week, and that is a play that was away from him that he didn't have any business being in the coverage. He was freelancing like he does, and quite frankly, like L'Jarius Sneed did last week too. So there is an overlap there. But for Patrick, who's been picked by Peters in the past, this has to be an evolution for Patrick specifically against Marcus. And Marcus gave him a lot of respect this week in his pregame pressers and everything that I've seen from the media. He's been well aware of the respect needed to be given to Pat Mahomes. But this is the thing. That's how Marcus lulls you to sleep. He's going to talk trash on – I almost cussed there. Sorry, folks. He's going to talk trash on the field. But in personnel meetings, he's going to be a little bit different. For Mahomes, the great thing, it's a two-edged sword. And like everything else that Pat Mahomes does, he has the ability to make mistakes and yet recover from them within a gamescape of those 60 minutes in order to get a win. So my thing is, Pat's got to be very specific about setting Marcus up, because Marcus is going to come off of his assignments. Marcus is going to try to jump routes that aren't necessarily the guy that he's assigned to. Pat can use that to his advantage. And I think not the no look. I don't need to see a no look, Patrick. There's no need for that. But he can set him up with his eyes. And I do expect that is something that can really pay off for this team.
Yeah, that's one of the things that, if you read my article on Arrowhead, guys, and actually you saw the video that I posted up on RJ earlier this week, the eye manipulation of the linebacker, Kenneth Murray, to get a Tyreek Hill is wide open. They used the fact that Tyreek had been coming around the linebackers on these curl routes to their advantage. They looked to the right side of Kenneth Murray, and then they threw back to his left for a wide open, Hill for like 15, 16 yards. This is the thing that exactly Ryan's talking about. You can set up guys like Peters, even though they're very experienced, and he's obviously one of the best ball hawks in the NFL. That's not diminish what he does. That's what he does. He's very good at it, and there is a reason that he likes to freelance, is because he can get those interceptions. But there's also Patrick Mahomes' ability to manipulate defenses with his eyes, and I think that's going to put Marcus in quite a bit of gray area. He's going to have to really kind of be more to his assignments this week. If he's not, they're going to get beat over the top for some big plays.
Well, and he knows the volume of play action, at least the minimal play action they do out of the shotgun. I think they have to do a little bit better job selling that. And I want to see them set that up. Like Andy said for the first game, they wanted to establish the run. That affects Marcus Peters as much as any DB out there. If you can get him so he knows he has to bite, and that's real, and it's not just the pseudo fake handoff, that's a different deal. And so I look for them to do that too. On the other side, I think the formula is very much old school. They like to run out a pistol. They like to run both of those running backs. I'm a huge fan of Dobbins. I thought he was going to be one of the better ones. Obviously, Ingram gets it done constantly, and they have one of the better fullbacks in the league. Chiefs are not the only team in this matchup that run the fullback quite a bit. So I expect a lot of run first, set up play action for Lamar that he can throw from the pocket. And so that puts the Chiefs defensive backfield in the same position that they have to be really on their assignments. Yeah,
that's the thing is I love the way that the Ravens offense operates in terms of the way that they use all the pre-snap motions with the running backs in the backfield, the fullback, the multiple tight end sets they bring, 3, 2, 3, 1. It doesn't matter. They can use all three of them in different ways. They can still throw the ball to them. It's so difficult to defend this offense. And even though they do struggle sometimes when they're behind in games, I don't think that they're ever out of it, like just in terms of like the Chiefs, just because, Lamar Jackson is so explosive in the way that they can to make things not as they appear with the three tight ends and who can end up going down the field. And you still got field stretchers or at least one field stretcher on that team. They haven't used Devin Duvernay very much. So you still
like that kid too.
Yeah, he's still gonna have to figure out the offense. I think that's the biggest reason that they're not using him. Maybe we'll see him a little bit more this week, just because there's not much tape on him. So they might just kind of try to throw him out there to get him some easy underneath stuff. So
I'll tell you this too. Legarius had a great game against him last year too, when he was at Texas and he was at La Tech. So let's hope that happens, because we hear that Ward might play, right? He's trending that direction too. So that means somebody's going to go in the nickel, and Legarius has played in the nickel before. So it could be really interesting to see whether it's Fenton or Legarius or some kind of mixture. But like, I didn't mean to cut you off. I just wanted to get that piece in there because of the experience. So let's do this. What's your key? Give me a key that they have to accomplish, not just the matchup, but in terms of a goal for them to get done in order to win this game.
They have to keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket. I don't care how much they run the football on them. They throw it, that you have to keep him in the pocket. If he gets outside the pocket, he's more dangerous in terms of making plays down the field, as well as with his legs in 20, 25, 30-yard clumps. This isn't like Patrick Mahomes is going for 10 yards. Lamar Jackson broke 21 tackles last year, or to the year before. It was the way he breaks tackles is unreal, and this Chiefs defense has not been able to tackle. You guys saw last week Austin Eckler out here, he's good. He's a good running back. They made him look like an all-pro running back because him and Josh Kelly. Yeah, they just ran everywhere because they were able to break tackles. If you can keep Lamar Jackson in the pocket, I don't think it matters what they do. They win this game.
I think that's probably a good bet. And I feel like Lamar's taken a step forward in the pocket, but I agree with you. That still is a limitation for him. I see it very similar. And folks, the Monday night is not going to be the Q&A. We're going to do the post-game Monday night. You'll see that late after I do the podcast. So just want to get that note in here while you're still watching this one, because the key for me is they have to manage what they didn't manage last week. And that is the offensive line must stop Clay Campbell and Udon. That's it. Got to take care of those two. Derek Wolfe knows you very well. He's going to make a couple plays. I'm not worried about that. He's not a game changer. Clay Campbell is. Udon is. Is it Michael or Matthew? I always mess that up, so that's why I'm trying to do
it's
that.
Matthew.
Okay.
So it's Matthew.
Those two up front, that's what you have to manage, because you can't have what you had last week on the offensive line.
No, I do expect the Chiefs to come out much more prepared for this game. I feel like they were kind of taken off guard, getting Justin Herbert instead of Tyrod Taylor. And granted, it's not an excuse to come out flat. I do think that there was a little bit of instance of looking ahead. That's just my own personal opinion. I know they'll never say that, but still, I think that this is a much bigger game for both of these teams, and I think they both knew that. And if you look at the Ravens last week against the Texans, I know that they put up a lot of points, but they were kind of flat as well. It wasn't it was kind of a weird game to watch. I watched that game, and just like there was nothing hugely offensively incredibly explosive about it. It was just kind of, they just did their thing. They came in and they left, and there was nothing. They looked like both teams looked forward to this Monday night game. So I do expect them both to be ready. And the Chiefs did start out behind last year. I don't expect that to stay the same unless they, don't get the ball first.
Let's make sure that they do that. It's been a struggle. I keep waiting for them to put their foot down and get off to the start that they should. We'll see if it happens. Give me one player on the Ravens offense that gives you pause, or that you think should be the focus of what they're doing.
Mark Andrews.
Okay.
Mark Andrews he's the terms of these elite tight ends in the NFL. He's a guy that can stretch the field. He can do everything. He can block extremely well, and he can still catch the football. These Chiefs linebackers can't cover tight ends. They can't cover running backs. They can't cover tight ends. We saw it last week. Hunter Henry still was able to do some pretty good damage against this defense, and Mark Andrews is way better than Hunter Henry is. So I think that as long as they can keep him under wraps, I think that their offense goes as Mark Andrews goes. They put up a lot of points when Mark Andrews continues to get involved in the offense, and he's scoring touchdowns. If they can try to keep him out of the end zone, that kind of forces Lamar Jackson to get the ball into, his wide receivers who, they're not that great. They're a good group of guys, but nobody really stands out. Marcus, Hollywood Brown is the closest guy they have to a star on that wide receiver group. Mm-hmm. So I don't really feel as threatened by their wide receivers as I do by Mark Andrews.
Well, and he's consistent. Like, I think Marquise could go off. He could have a big play, but I don't think he's consistently going to attack the defense in a way that puts them at risk. I agree with you. The one guy that kind of bodies up better than I think anybody gives him credit for, the guy that I think might be the role that really is one of those guys you just want to throw something at the TV when it happens, is Willie Snead. The guy just makes plays. He just makes plays, right?
I knew what you were going to say.
I know. It's like year after year, you see the same thing. Because I'm going to be going – I'll be going crazy, Snead on Snead all night long on this game.
I mean, as long as we get some play on the ball this time and not have to watch Willie Snead go up, because, you know, he's not a great athlete. But,
right.
Yeah, and again.
Keep an eye on him. And let's hope that Miles Boykin isn't learning things from him, because that guy's got a big body too. The thing for me, it comes down to they have to stop the run. They have to show up right away. And that's on Spags, Daly, and House as far as I'm concerned. Yeah. Because they can't wait to see what happens. They can't wait to see how they're going to try to attack them. They're going to run pistol. They're going to run ISO. They're going to come at you in the B gaps. They have to blitz and attack the B gaps if they want to win this game on the defense for me.
Yeah, and I was watching the game from last week, and it's just too many times where you've got Hitchens waiting when he knows a run's coming his way, and he's just not going to his gap. And
footed.
It's the most frustrating thing to watch for a guy who was supposed to be a run stuffer, a downhill runner. He just seems to not want to attack downhill. There's some plays that he will, but then you see another play that he's just standing or he's shuffling to the hole, and it creates, instead of maybe a negative yard play or a 1 to 2 yard gain, it's a 9, 10, 11 yard gain because he's too busy just shuffling to the hole. You got to get downhill and attack these run fits, or you're going to get run over all game. They have to do that to get this team in 3rd and long. So that's what you do to beat this team.
And when you see how they exploit them, that's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to get to the hole before you. And if you're hesitant in any way, that's going to cost you. On the other side, I think a linebacker could be very, very important for Baltimore as well. And this is where people are going to throw things at me. So take a breath, folks. Patrick Queen isn't ready.
No, he's not.
The Chiefs need to attack him in the pass game. And I'm huge on Patrick Queen. I did have him just slightly below Murray. I thought Murray was a better all-around player. Murray obviously got taken advantage of last week. They have to do the same thing to Patrick Queen. Set him up and rack him up, because he's not ready to defend Travis Kelce in particular, but certainly if they're going to try to drop him into those middle routes where the slot can attack him as well.
Yeah, I want to see them get him lined up on Travis Kelce as many times as they possibly can. He will take advantage of that no matter his speed. It doesn't matter. The ability that Kelce has to separate from anybody in this league just by his nuance throughout running is going to make a rookie who's not ready in coverage yet look like a rookie who's not ready in coverage. And this is a game that, Kelce could have 100, 120, 150 yards if they just continue to go back to the well. Because as I mentioned earlier, this Ravens defense is very aggressive. You get these linebackers moving one way, that opens up holes on the other side of the offense. So they're going to be able to exploit some things here and there with just the nature of playing that aggressive style of defense.
Yeah, and and I want to see some run. I don't think it's going to be terribly productive, but you got to do it, because that will bring them that much tighter to the line of scrimmage. It'll make them key that much faster, and then it's going to turn everything loose at that 12 to 18 yard range that I think the Chiefs can make a lot of hay with.
That's exactly what they're going to do. They might not get big plays down the field, but they're just going to chunk them to death.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. Yep. So, okay, at the end of the day, I think we see it mostly the same. But let's see if we differ here. Give me your prediction. What do you think happens?
So I still think the Chiefs win this game. I think it's going to be close, and I don't think it's going to be like it was last year, where the score was not as close as the game itself was. I think it's going to be 31-28 Chiefs.
Wow. Okay. That's pretty close. I'm right there with you, because I agree. I don't think that it's going to be catch up. I don't think it's going to be come from behind. I think it's going to be blow for blow for most of that game as well. But I'm going to call it even a little bit tighter. Really? It's 31-30 Chiefs, and I think it's going to go down to the wire. I'm hoping that it's not Butker that wins it, but it very well could be.
You know what? Fine. Let him just hang loose, man. He did it last week. If he has to do it again, I guarantee you he's going to go out there, hit it. If he's got to hit it from 60, he's going to hit it from 60. 3 times, he doesn't care. Let him showboat. I don't care.
Yeah. No, and the fact that he walked off as soon as he
That was
knew,
the best thing ever. He was
Right.
like, yeah, I hit it 3 times in a row. That's right. I did that.
that's what I do. Well, and here's the cool part is, and the reason that I bring him up, folks know that I don't talk about special teams that often because it's rare that it really affects the outcome of the game. But at the end of the day, Dave Tobe even said we were comfortable from him going from 63.
60.
So I personally feel he can make 65. I think he might be able to make 67. I won't put it past him that at some point, like in Denver, he could hit from 70.
Yeah, I want to see them when they're blowing somebody out. If they're at the 50-yard line or behind that, just let him try. Why not?
Yeah,
I want to see him out there kicking as far as he possibly can. Just because, why not?
just because why not? I think that's really the theme of this whole game, folks. So if you're not sub, do it now. Hit the like and the sub and the bell notification. We're here all week. Dan does film breakdowns that are getting really, really intricate, and I think you're doing a great job. I love the way that you're going. We're not going to stay offense, defense all year, folks. We'll move it around. It's just that I have a tendency to want to look at the defense, and that's
totally okay.
Me being selfish. We'll switch it around too. But that said, Danilo's going to have the tailgate video for you next week. Dan will be back with more film next week. I'll have the stats as soon as I can get them, and we'll get that done. My camera's going to go out because I definitely didn't plan for this to be 20 minutes, and now we're going to come back. So at that point, we're just going to sign off. Thanks, Dan.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Enjoy Chiefs Kingdom. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks for watching this video from the team at RGR Football. Click these videos to see more and subscribe to RGR Football.